Welcome, David, and thank
Good
you.
morning.
How are you?
I'm very well, very well. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. You coping in this extended lockdown period due to here tonight, actually, aren't we?
Yeah, well, all the while the weather's nice, it's not so bad. It's just when it gets a bit grey, it gets a bit dreary. You've got to raise your mood somehow, really.
Yeah, you do. I know. So you are obviously our regional representative, as me. You cover Kent, and you also have your own firm. You made the switch,
I,
didn't you?
yes. Yeah, I set my company up in October 2018. So I decided after several years working for larger companies that I'd make the leap and do it myself. So for me, it was a case of, it's not about money because I'm probably on less money. I work longer hours now, but the reward is far greater because you're doing the job how it should be done. You're focusing on your customers as opposed to spreadsheets and targets and graphs, which, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of companies, there's use for it, but it takes over the true element of what we're here to do, and that's find people at home, basically. So yeah, that's why I did it.
Great. I mean, to be honest, but you've got to be happy and you've got to make yourself feel like you're making a difference, because this is why we do it. We don't.
Yeah, cool.
We do it obviously to give people a home, and it's a great industry. It's a great, and our Propertymark, just so everyone knows, is a fantastic industry-led body that we help cover regions of the country. So David covers Kent, I cover City, Douglas, and Stratford. And it's kind of a way of engaging with agents and making standards higher and a fairer deal for all, really.
Absolutely, and it's been a guiding light for me over the years at Isle of Propertymark. And when I joined, I think it was 2011, 2012, and I'd never missed a regional meeting. I do the conferences, I do everything, everything they put out there. You may as well do it because you're paying a membership fee for it, which is really low. I think it's gone up about 10% in 15 years. It's ridiculously cheap. Legal helpline, and there's so much that you get. And I just think the agents that aren't with us, I think they're missing a trick. I mean, you're on these Facebook, forums and groups and stuff like that, and they're asking some really arbitrary questions about, there's no government guidance on what the Coronavirus Act should say. And, well, actually there is. Don't do it. Don't go out. Don't move people unless there's risk to life or limb, domestic violence. It's the government have been quite clear on what to do, yet there's still agents out there and even landlords and tenants that are just oblivious to it. I mean, we're fortunate enough that we get government guidance and legislation, get all the information transcribed to us, delivered in an easy format. So we don't have to read through a whole act from front to back. I mean, I've done it, and it's interesting, and the way they're written are very interesting. But if you've got a company that does that for you, saves you the time, gives you the key elements of that legislation, you're onto a winner every time, and it sets you above everybody else. It really does. Knowledge is power, and with ROPA coming in the next couple of years, they're the agents that are going to thrive.
Well, this is the thing, and there's always going to be corruption. There's always going to be the ones that want to run away with those deposits, run away with landlord fees, providing minimal care, and it's a criminal enterprise. And this is why I've noticed in this crisis that Arla and others, but mainly Isle of Propertymark, have really come to fore. And I've seen all the people that work for me have jumped on the webinars. I've been sending them to friends who are in industry and other parts. I managed to convert about 3 agents to join Arla, so they're doing that from around the country, which just because they've gone, oh wow, these fact sheets are great. Where is the info coming from? It's like, well, it's done by them and it's sent to us.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's done for basically, yeah. I mean, we're busy enough as it is as agents, let alone having to trawl through hundreds of pieces of legislation and regulations and laws and acts and all that kind of stuff. It's better to have a governing body that basically do it for you, digest it and recreate it in a manageable format. So you're there and you're like, right, I've got that. And you know what to do. I know exactly what to do all the time now because I just follow that. That's my shining light. I mean, for me as a business owner, I don't have a boss. I don't have anyone to answer to. And it's just as well because I wasn't very good at that in the first place because I like to do what's right and buy the book. And that is where Propertymark come in. I answer to them and legislation, basically. And That's the beauty of what we do. We're governed by the law and we follow it implicitly. The only trouble I find with agents is we don't give enough value for the work we do. You know, from start to finish, putting a tenancy together, phone calls, you know, organising maintenance, all these bits and pieces that come at a cost. And when you look at portal costs and stuff like that, I mean, now we're in the coronavirus period, there's discounts available, but, you know, normally the cost of advertising for one office on a certain portal is the cost of someone's monthly wage, and it's absurd.
It's oppressive.
You know?
It's absolutely oppressive. And the fact that it's taken agents a la NEA to petition to Rightmove just to drop it and give people a small holiday, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I mean,
It's insane.
We've managed people loads of discounts on Zoopla and on the market as well, and Rightmove are going to have a hard time trying to win people back, aren't they? I think.
Yeah, and they're gonna. I mean, the thing is, the damage is done. There's an actual group set up to boycott Rightmove, and there's hundreds of agents there that will never return to Rightmove, even if they offer it.
By a family friend of mine, Rob Sargent, who's head of the Acorn Group, and Arla registered and all that as well, and he started it. So yeah. And it's good that it comes out there. It's bad that it has to, because you think they'd start it themselves, but
yeah.
Shareholders are shareholders, eh? Yeah. I actually phoned up Arlie the other day. You were speaking about the legal hotline, and I was ringing about a tenant where we've got someone who's not paying. I'm not going to name names or properties, obviously I'll get in trouble. But about how they are not paying, and they asked to defer their rent for 3 months. And the problem is, my landlord the landlord client can't do that. I mean, have you encountered any problems like that? I mean, I'm finding it.
Not really. I mean, my portfolio is relatively small. I've only got about 80 properties, but we've had a few that are, you know, saying they're self-employed, they get paid weekly, or they pay themselves weekly, and they can't go out and work to earn the money. So, but then you've got, you know, the chancellors put the initiative in place for self-employed people that are not really going to get any money until July. So they've got to claim the statutory universal credit amount and all that, which is something. So this is why Arla have done the campaign of Keep the Rent Flowing, because the help is available and money is coming in for people to chip away at that. But if they're going to defer it for 3 months, then they're going to incur interest charges as well on late payment of rent. They're also going to be in a situation where when they leave that property, that they're going to apply for a reference, and is the government going to come up with a coronavirus exemption period where you can state, one of the questions is, was the rent paid on time? Are they going to state, due to the coronavirus, the rent wasn't paid during this time, but the rest of the time the account was fine? Are they going to change the way referencing's been done? There's a lot to consider that people don't think, oh, I'm going to defer. But like, if you've got a landlord that's reliant on the rent money to come in, there's no mortgage, but that's his sole form of income, and he doesn't get that, he's in a bit of trouble as well. He can't do a payment holiday, because a mortgage holiday, because there's no mortgage. Is the case of he relies on that money to come in.
I know. And this is the thing, and that is commonplace for 60% of rental properties. I mean, when you think about the vast majority of wealth is held by the older generation, 50 plus, the baby boomers of this world, our parents, and they have property, 1 or 2 max, and they rely on that. They, you know, state pension is enough to cover living costs, particularly if you're in the southeast like us.
Yeah,
it's a really tough situation. And this is the thing: if you've got a buy-to-let mortgage on it as well, you've got to. I mean, can you apply for mortgage holidays? I think I've read that you can.
Yeah, I've done. I did mine. I was a bit late with mine. I did mine a few weeks ago, but I'd missed the April one. So I paid my mortgages for April, but May is when I get a 3-month holiday. But I still have to pay that back with the interest on top. So it is like a break. It's like putting your mortgage on hold, but it'll give me some breathing space, so I can pay myself less money for the next couple of months, because I know that I've just saved myself another £1,000 a month. So I can pay myself less, and plus I've got less coming in through the business. So it keeps me afloat as well.
Well, as a landlord as well, how's your tenant finding it? Is he okay?
Well, my tenants, I mean, again, I had the rent guarantee and legal policy, which pays out on the day. It's a guaranteed product. And I found out that the referencing company pulled that product, but they're offering an alternative one, which means I'll still get the money eventually. However, my tenant is a key worker, so they're still getting paid. Fortunately, the money's still coming in, yeah.
Wow. Which, I mean, it always boils down to making sure you have a good working relationship with your tenant if you are a landlord.
You got to.
Yeah, because we're doing it with a lot of the managed portfolio, because our landlords are scattered all over the globe. Not saying that we're a different, sphere to you guys in Kent, but being central London, you get all and sundry from all over the world.
Yeah.
We've got landlords in Zimbabwe, Canada, South Africa, like China, of all places. They're in lockdown. He couldn't do anything, and he was literally like, I can't even work. He had a guaranteed salary, so he was fine, and his tenant was fine. But we still have all the, even at this higher level of income, we're still getting people applying for these rent rates and inquiring what they can do. It's hard.
Yeah.
It makes me think actually as well that tenants, when they're inquiring about if they want a rent break, or just say flat out, which we've had one case of, I can't pay the rent. How is that going to affect them going forward? I was thinking about that just this morning, about how, what we're going to do. Are we going to provide them a reference with the landlord? I mean, what would you do?
It's like we said before, isn't it? I mean, they're still going to have to pay interest on late payment of rent. It's still going to be, basically, when the referencing comes through, normally referencing companies ask the questions: was the tenancy conducted to a satisfactory manner? Would you let to the tenant again? And was the rent paid on time? Well, if the other two are yes, and the other one is a no because the rent wasn't paid on time, then, a landlord is not obligated to take that tenant, and it's a failure, and then they lose their holding fee, don't they? Legitimately under the Tenant Fees Act. However, like we said before, is the government can introduce a period where during, say, I don't know, March to September or however it's going to be, if tenants didn't pay their rent between that period, that can't be classed as a true depiction of their account. Where do we go with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I know that one of the situations I've heard on the grapevine from one of my friends in the industry is that this tenant just said, I've left the keys in the property, I can't afford the rent, bye. That is not on. You still have to pay rent in this time as a tenant. You have that guarantee that you can go and chase for them. But I think we were chatting before we decided to have a little chat. Is that there's no point. There's no point. You're not going to get a court date. In my opinion, you might differ your opinion. You're not going to get a court date for 6 months. You're only going to lose time and effort chasing them down. Granted, you can do it while you're trying to remarket, but I think the first thing you should do, correct me if I'm wrong, get a new tenant in and choose someone who you think is reliable on referencing.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. The only trouble is you can't get a new tenant in due to government guidance unless due to, what risk to life or limb or, abuse, anything like that. So, yeah, my advice to a landlord would be cut your losses. And we had exactly the same one. 25th of March, the tenant's 18-month term came to an end and they decided they were no longer going to stay in the property. They didn't give a month's notice. They said they left the keys in the property and they've gone. They've just gone, not paid any rent. They owed another month's rent. They owe, a month's notice, and they didn't do that. And what they've done is they've read their original tenancy agreement, which was through one of the companies I used to work for, and there's no clause in there that states the tenant has to give a month's notice. And they've said, I've taken legal advice and it ends through a reflection of time. And he's right to a certain degree, but Section 5 of the Housing Act 1988 states differently. They are obligated to give that notice still. The landlord said, well, can we pursue him for this and pursue him for that? Yeah, okay. What we'll do, we'll keep the deposit. That's all we can do, really. We can go back to the tenancy deposit scheme, said they failed to give a month's notice, and the deposit amount will cover that. But also, we've got to think about dilapidations. How was that property left? Now, I shouldn't really have gone to that property. However, I need to check it's secure. So I need to put a resecuring notice on the door. So I attended the property, not for the purpose of anything else, but for essential work, because how do I know they haven't left the water on? How do I know they haven't, there's an escape of gas? I need to check it for safety. So I went in there. They left it relatively okay, but I can't do the checkout yet because their term hasn't come to an end. However, I'll start remarketing. But again, we can't move anyone in unless it's deemed absolutely essential. So we're in that kind of period of limbo, aren't we, really? We want to do right by a client, but again, we've got to follow government guidance and not break the law. So all we can do is do our virtual tours, as and where possible. We can do our advertising pictures, do a little disclaimer like we spoke about in our Arla group about, you're taking property on the fact that you haven't seen the inside. You're going by the photos and you're going by the video tour. However, there can be no recourse against us due to the current climate. If you want to move and it's deemed essential, then by all means go ahead. But we would advise maybe against it. You're almost talking a tenant out of moving, so much so that they do want to move, but then it's still got to be essential. We're stuck. The government guidance is really clear, and we just got to stick to it and remain patient.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I would rather not move someone in on that basis, and not. Thing is, even then, and there would be no recourse for agents and landlords if the tenant agreed or had a need and risk to life and limb, as they've said. But you just don't. It's just not in the climate, the current, the flavour of the month is what I'm trying to get at. I don't think that is what people would desire. And it's not about bad PR, it's not about bad press. I just wouldn't be able to live myself if I moved someone in and then they caught coronavirus. Because and also you don't want to annoy the neighbours, do you? They see that happening and they go, well, what are you doing? Because police are cutting down on gatherings in parks and running drones over the district, stopping people parking and lay-bys. Moving in. Oh, you know what? I would be getting like you've got insurance. I'd be getting insurance at the end of this. If I had a property, which I don't, and we are speaking to our landlord clients. At the end of this, we're going to have a massive discussion and probably we're actually going to start doing a few seminars if you'd like to speak. We are going to recommend insurance products because indemnity and rent guarantee. I think you've got both of them, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Rent guarantee and legal cover is a no-brainer. For the cost, I always say to my landlord, for the cost of a Chinese takeaway each month, you may as well have it. And if, I know it sounds a bit tongue-in-cheek, but if you had a money tree at the bottom of your garden, Danny, and then you went away on holiday, but you didn't insure it, and you come back and your neighbours chopped down your money tree and planted it in their garden, well, what can you do? And that's the thing. You've got to insure, you've got to underwrite that asset. And for £30-40, it's a no-brainer. You might never need to rely on it, right? But there's going to be a time where you might. And it might be that time where they've used an agent that has not set the tenancy up properly, served the prescribed information properly, served the how to rent guide, the EPC, ticked all of those boxes that we know we have to tick when we're setting up a tenancy. They might have missed one thing, which a lot of landlords I take over management of have missed stuff, right? And then you can't get possession, then it goes back to court. You could be looking at 13, 14 months without any rent money, But if you've got your cover in place, they'll pay out a certain amount. They might pay 12 months, they might pay 6 months. They'll pay, all your legal fees up to a certain amount. So you've got to try and mitigate your losses. So I always say to landlords, look, just it's tax deductible. Why would you not do it? Just cover yourself, protect yourself.
I think there's going to be a massive cultural shift out of this, and I do think that people are going to be savvier. I mean, tenants are savvier, which is a great thing. Agents are becoming more educated, and we're weeding out the ones that, as we say, criminal behaviour or just not worth their salt. It's just now landlords, and there's 95% of people out there want to have a good tenant and just want to have an investment and also provide a good home. But it's just going about it the right way. And I think this forces everyone to reevaluate how they go about it, definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes you look at your business models and everything. I mean, people saying, oh, yeah, well, you've got a bit more time when you have. I haven't. I look after 80 properties, so I've still got 80 sets of questions to answer and emails and things to sort out and payments to reconcile and notes to put on the system from the emails that come through. And there's still a lot of it. As agents, we're still working very similar hours to what we were before. And when we're not working those hours, we're educating ourselves on things. We're taking time to look through legal documentation and bits and pieces, getting our CPD up and stuff like that. And that's what all agents should do. For me, I mean, I was hoping this week I was going to look at my business model and change a few bits, but I've got about 60, 70 emails to look at just this morning alone, just through having the bank holiday weekend off. So for me, I'm going to bosh those out today and then spend the rest of the week looking at my terms of business, because I'm thinking I might write some additional bits in the terms of business. I might put some clauses in there to say we strongly advise, as a landlord, you take rent guarantee and legal cover, you need to sign this document to state a disclaimer to say you're not taking it. And just little weeks. A lot of agents probably do already, but I'm missing stuff that I could do because I want everything to be 100% perfect for every eventuality, and you'll never get there. But you know, if we can get as close to that, and that's why the better agents are always demanding more of themselves. You know, we don't sit back and go, "Oh, do you know what? We've had a great month. Yeah, let's take the rest of the month off." No, you don't. You want to outdo that month and keep growing and keep doing better and keep getting another 5-star review and keep being awesome and generating more business without having to spend out fortunes, because marketing costs a lot. And this is why the whole social media element, video content, is the cheapest and most effective way, because you'll have agents that will do leaflet campaigns everywhere, and that's great. I get a leaflet through the door and I go, yeah, that agent again, okay, yeah, that's going in the recycle bin, do my bit for the environment. Yeah. Or do you do it on a device where everyone's like that all the time? And I have to tell myself, right, phone's going away now, no looking at the phone today, because otherwise you're forever like that. One, you'll end up as a bit of a hunchback, and two, you know, you could have had a beautiful life. It's just a shame you spent most of it looking down at your phone. I mean, how many of us do this thing? I mean, I'm going off piste a little bit here, but how many of us go to an event and we video it, right? And then we never watch that video back again.
It's like video.
Why not just enjoy the event? It'd be good to go, oh, do you know, I love that concert, that was great. Or I loved that time I went down that walk slide, it was great. Well, why not enjoy it in reality and have the memory of it? You know, take pictures by all means, but so many people want to film every single step of the way.
I think there's a certain amount of engaging with your fellow agent, and breeding. The one thing I'm noticing coming out of this is breeding healthy competition, not unhealthy competition. For me, I want to work with people, and I'm all for being competitive, being with another agent who's my mate, which happens quite often because obviously you're friendly with a lot of people, as I am in my area. And being able to say, look, at the end of the day, if you get it, it doesn't matter. Can we work on this? Or actually, I noticed you did it this way. Have you thought about doing it this way? And I've had some healthy conversations just over WhatsApp, 1 or 2 back and forth with non-Alibi. And as I said, I've convinced agents who would never even think of joining up, because they've gone, actually, are you getting, is the legal helpline still open during this time? Because my solicitor's closed and is not answering the phone call. And I said, phone Gregory. And I'll phone them for you. I phoned and said, look, it's cheeky, I'm doing this on the advice of someone else, but I'm hoping it, you know, brings them on. And they were like, great. And it did.
Yeah.
It worked. So, and I agree.
No, and that's and you do it. Yeah. Because you won't get ones in these groups that say, oh, yeah, well, can you send me a copy of that? And you want to help people out, but then you think, actually, no, because if you were an Arla member, you would get that already. So why should I give you something for free that I'm paying for and you're going to benefit? Because you're not taking it seriously enough. And I'm quite draconian with that. There's a lot of people that are like there's one guy in one of the groups, and they were just like, the government guidance isn't clear. I know we probably spoke about it before, but the guidance is clear, and there's just so much stuff that goes. And I said, were you not on the webinar with David Cox the other day? Because he was quite, I made a note on it, and I put it in capitals because of how clear it was. We know exactly what we're supposed to do, and there's still people out there going, can we do this? Can we do that? It's like, come on, guys, we're 5 weeks in, I don't know, whatever, into this coronavirus period, and there's still people that don't know what they should be doing. And I just think, if you were a member of this body, or you actually listened and digested that, as opposed to whatever else they're doing, you'd get what we have to do and what the process is. And I know it sounds bad, but this is an opportunity for everyone to look at not only their businesses, but their lives, you know, their lifestyle, how they do stuff, exercise, you know. I think it's horrible to say. It's a bit of a wake-up call for everyone, and it's tragic. So many people lost their lives. I mean, I've got family out in Italy, and they give me updates on what it's like that, and it's awful. It really is awful. But there's just a lot of people that don't take things seriously. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, isn't it?
It is. Well, we all know someone who's either suffering from it or dying from it. A family friend of ours has, you know, passed away, and it's just it doesn't relent. It does grip the weakest, you know, with underlying health conditions, but it's a really, really contagious disease that enough people are taking seriously. And seeing some agents still doing viewings or offering booking in dates for viewings when you're not meant to be booking in anything.
No, you're not.
I've seen it and I've heard it, and I know people very close to me who have done it, and I've gone, oh, this is really bad. You shouldn't be doing this. I just don't think enough people either watch the news or aware of what's going on, as you just said. So let's hope this makes everyone a bit more aware, and looking after themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, David. Thank you very much. You can look in the link below, put some comments, and let us know how you got on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.